All right, welcome TE 312 students. For those of you who are unable to make it to class, you are in my thoughts and we did miss you today. And this is a brief overview of some of the things that we talked about in class so that you are able to kind of capture some of that. So right now I am going to hopefully share my screen and you'll be able to see it. All right, so welcome. My name is Chantra Williams. I'll be your instructor for this course. I serve as a school improvement specialist in the school community partnership office in the first floor of Gilbertson over our charter schools, and I'm a former K-8 teacher. I did that for about 12, 13 years. I've taught every grade except for second grade, K through 8. I also was an instructional coach for a K-8 building, an interventionist for students with mathematics with an online program. And again, I currently serve as a school improvement specialist. So I do professional development. I help support new teacher academies for teachers who have just graduated and are in between 0 to 3 years. I've been doing that for about 5 years, and I help to do school reviews and audits for charter schools. All right, so today you were able to kind of find out some of the classroom norms and you'll be able to find those. But basically, it was just us assuming good intentions and just being good citizens. So if you look down, we did go over some soft skills today and some engagement strategies. So we used Kagan fold the line. Don't worry, I'm sure we will do that again. And so any of the engagement strategies that we went through today, feel free to talk to a classmate, but those things you'll see happen again. We did 1, 2, 4, which was an engagement study strategy, cooperative learning, and we also did a lot of partnering and discussing today. So no worries, you will be able to see that in later classes. A course overview, because the syllabus is on Canvas, I am going to politely ask that you just take your time and go through that syllabus. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me by email and I will respond to those before the following Monday. The text that you will need for this course are pictured above. I believe you have 2 of those already at least, and maybe only 2 of those will be new. And those will be used throughout this course and good to hold on to for future courses and for teaching when you get into your teaching. The major assignments of the course are your talking points, the literacy assessment profile, the child literacy instructional plan. You'll have 3 lesson plans with reflections, and then you'll have Canvas quizzes. Okay, not assessments or tests, but you will have Canvas quizzes. I know one of the questions the student posed today at the end was, are there any tests that we have to take? You know, there's not any per se end of the semester huge exams or tests, but along the way you will have quizzes. And the bulk of your points will come from, if you look above, the literacy profiles and the lesson plans that you put in place. So some of the course expectations, once again, somewhat like the norms. If you do become ill or have a close contact with an individual with COVID, you must report that to the SVSU Nest hotline and notify the instructor. And some of you have done that, so thank you. Alternative coursework will be provided and needs to be submitted prior to the next class, and I will communicate that with you. Exactly which module you'll be expected to do, and I will try to get that to you it's the same day or as soon as I know that you're not able to attend class because of COVID related issues. Students are expected to be responsible for your learning, and so that really falls into play with attending class and taking care of your course readings, and we'll get into that a little later on. And this is an inclusive asset-based language, so even when you talk about yourself or your students or your fields or your field teacher or other instructors, we do expect you to comment on the strengths of that person and not demonstrate any negative judgment or unprofessional communication, especially if things are confidential, that you be very mindful of things that do not need to be discussed, especially if it's something specific to a student. So many times we will say you don't have to list the name of the student or the school when we have some of our conversations. Please be very mindful of due dates and that you take care of your readings prior to class so that you will be prepared for class. All right, with that being said, just taking the time to go through your Canvas page will help you be very prepared for what we're going to do. So an activity we did today basically was just learning about the difference between belonging and fitting in. And we want you to be able to have the skills necessary to form an inclusive environment where your students know that they belong and that they feel received and accepted. And that takes us into EDJI. And if you mix those letters around, it stands for Jedi. If you keep them in proper order, it would go E first, and E is equity, D is diversity, J is justice, and I is inclusion. Very much so. Someone said, the E can also stand for education. That's the whole point of all of it. And yes, as we educate others, we want to make sure that we are providing equitable education, meaning everybody gets what they need. So we have a standard, and if we need to support others at different ways to make sure they're able to meet that standard and have the resources they need, that we're going to do that. We recognize that all of us are different and diverse, and we all have something to bring to the table. And we want to look at that strengths-based lens as to what are our students and families bringing, and what are we bringing, what is our community bringing, what is the district bringing, and put all that together to be able to form an inclusive environment where all students understand that reading is a right, and it is something that helps them climb the social ladder and to feel empowered to be independent citizens. And so we want to make sure they have those skills. So you have the power to do that. With that being said, we walk through the steps of EDJI. And let me know if this PowerPoint is also linked if you just want to go through the PowerPoint slowly to take notes. We did take notes today, and we went through scenarios. So in that equity, diversity, justice, inclusion, as we're trying to be Jedis and make sure our students feel completely included and belonging and cared for, one of the things that helps us to do that is to suspend judgment. So sometimes things will happen and we will witness them, and we need to isolate our previous feelings or experiences and sometimes just say, okay, let me stop, take a pause, and let me take time to ponder, okay, in this moment, what just happened? Not what happened yesterday, not a pattern of behavior, not in this exact moment. Before I respond, before I react, I want to thoughtfully pause and give myself permission and time to respond to this moment and not to every other moment around me. That goes to asset-based thinking. So thinking of it from that strength-based asset, okay, what good is in this situation, in this person? What could have been going on? So basically it's telling yourself, wait, I see their reaction and I'm trying to come up with a response. And what could be going on, and I don't know what's going on, but I have to assume, okay, the best, and I can do that by slowing down, not overreacting, and saying, all right, what is happening? What was going on? And gaining information in a calm way, okay? So first, gain information. Don't assume you have it just because something has occurred. Next is your locus of control. And I really want you to kind of think of a couple of your hands and like, okay, what's in my hands? What do I actually have power over? And what do I not? And then that growth mindset says, how can I learn and grow from the situation, regardless of how it was handled? Maybe you don't kick your butt afterwards and go, oh, I should have. But think, hey, next time I learned that, this student doesn't respond well to this particular situation. Or, oh, I have another strategy I can use. Or actually, based on the student's IEP or 504 plan, or, ooh, during that time of day, I actually have a para coming in, so I can always do this or that. So the EDJI steps just kind of help you to stop, to gather yourself, and it keeps you from reacting. And you just go on with your gut. It slows you down so that you can appropriately respond to the situation, to the child, so that there's still this room to learn and grow for both of you. All right. So we went through some scenarios, and you are welcome to go through some of those scenarios. I do encourage you to get the meat out of this. If you pause the video, or go through the PowerPoint, pick one or two of the scenarios, and I want you to think of it like this. On your worst day, how would you respond? And then on your best teacher, the principal is looking at you, parents are visiting the room day, how would you respond? And compare and contrast the two. What you'll notice is one will probably show what you're going to do when you react. One is going to show what you do when you slow down and respond. And then you'll realize the importance of giving yourself that time to stop, pause, ponder, and use those Jedi skills to say, whoa, I'm here to help people, not hurt people. And let me bring it down. All right. So I do encourage you to walk through that, because you want to be your true teacher self and not your triggered teacher self. And some of these will put you in your trigger self. And that's a whole nother lesson that we'll talk about hopefully later. All right. So we unpacked that activity a little bit. We took a break. And then we had the opportunity to read a really wonderful article that set us up for discussion. You have this article linked. Please take time to read that article. One of the purposes of us reading that article was to practice. We timed ourselves. So for example, it took me 8 minutes to read a 2-page document, because I think while I read, and I circle keywords, and I'm looking for main ideas, and I'm trying to connect thoughts that repeat in the article. And I'm looking at how they summarize from the bottom, and I'm connecting that to other points that I circled, and thinking about experiences I had. So I'm a thinker as I read, so I don't just speed read for time. It took me 8 minutes to think and read as I was going through. So I realized that's about, for me, 4 minutes a page. And I was able to look at that and say, ooh, even if I was to do chapter 1 in one of our assigned readings, and it has, let's say, for example, 10 pages, which it has more than that, or one of the articles has 10 pages, actually, I think the Boyd article. So it takes me 4 minutes a page. So 10 times 4, 40. I need to block off minimum 40 minutes just to be able to thoroughly read, process, think through, summarize, and apply that article in my own head. Otherwise, it was just kind of like a waste of time. If I go through it too fast, I'm not going to remember it. And I want that information, because everything I'm given, I'm going to build on, and it's going to prepare me for the teacher that I want to be. And so that's why we tell you to time yourself. And then sometime this week, schedule that block. Literally, this is my block right now, when I know I am going to have scheduled reading time. And I realize that based on the number of readings, I'm not going to do this in one day. So I'm going to need an hour of reading time every day, Monday through Friday, just to have time to digest all the information, to be able to pick out 5 powerful points, and then submit those for talking points, and feel comfortable coming into the next class that I'm ready, that I've already grappled with some of the issues and questions. I posed some questions of my own, and I'll feel a little bit more secure when I come into class. So that's one way to reduce test anxiety, is to be familiar with the material and the terms and the vocabulary, so that when you hear them in activities, you're like, oh, yeah, I read about that. Oh, yeah, I remember that. And you're just kind of reconnecting and giving your brain an extra hug with material. So that's what we did with that. So, and again, we talked about the importance of, learning and depths of knowledge, and the importance of rereading and close reading. And then we unpacked it. So we practiced and said, okay, if these were the questions on the quiz, because you all will be getting quiz questions, what are some appropriate ways to respond to questions? And one of the big takeaways, I think, for students was, oh, I'm going to make sure I answer in complete sentences and provide explanation. I want to make sure I really look at what the question is asking and respond to all the parts that the question is asking. So if the question says, could you provide an example? Provide an example. If it says explain the example, explain the example. It's better to provide additional information, and instead of saying something like making a really vague statement. So for example, what did the article define as whole child? If someone were just to put whole child as an approach, okay, an approach to what? For who? Why? That comprises what? And this was asking about what the article defined it as. So that's one of those things it's right there. Whereas question 2 was kind of search and locate. In more than one spot, it kind of told you how the article explained the standards. And I want you to actually take the time to pause this or use the PowerPoint and really go through that article and then respond to these questions. Yeah, I mean, you'll be good. You'll be caught up with the rest of your class. And to keep this video short, we reflected on that. And then once again, the importance of scheduling the time that you need based on your current life schedule. You guys schedule your time for reading or you won't have time for it. And you'll end up rushing or you'll miss some readings. And then you'll be taking quizzes or you'll be doing assessment with students or you'll be in the field or we'll be doing something activity and you won't understand where it fits, and it will be because it connected to a reading and we front loaded you with it and you missed it and you'll come in foggy and disconnected. And it's not our desire that you come in disconnected. We want to connect you ahead of time. So it's like charging up your phone. You know you're going to go a whole day. The pre-readings charge up your phone so that you can access what you need to access, and we hope that you do that. So thank you again. There was a survey. This is super important too, though. Please go on the week 1. Look for the survey. We talked about whole child approach. Well, we want to make sure that we are looking at your whole person. And if you have specific needs of this class or needs in general, please fill out that survey so that we can better service you. Thank you. I hope you guys who are not feeling well start to feel better. And know that we are here to support you either way. So no matter what you do, please don't stop communicating or think that, we're not here for you. We're completely here for you. And you all have a good day.